everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and if you're wondering why I sound a little echoey, my mic broke. Remember, we are in Mercury retrograde, so things that are electrical and battery operated can often not work well, and bingo, it hit that microphone hard. So I did order another one, so the next few videos are probably going to be a little echoey, so I'm sorry about that. I'll try to fix it and clean it as much as I can, but it is what it is. But I did want to talk to you about fixing people and not doing that. We can't have you walking around trying to fix people. And the reason that this is so important is because you have to understand that everybody, every human that you meet is going through something on their own. It is something that they are dealing with, and it's something that they are going through on their own. Okay? And it's imperatively important that you understand that your job is not to fix and repair them. And even when it comes to your kids, and trust me, I know, believe you me, as I happily sit here before you to tell you, I got own stuff going on with kids and stuff. And you have to understand that as hard as it is to see it and watch it and not be able to fix it, it's not your journey to do it. You can't do it for them. I know it's heartbreaking. I know it's hard. I hear you, but you must accept that all you can do is provide tools and resources to people, but you can't change the narrative for them. Now, if they ask for resources, give them resources, be there. Be careful of the unsolicited advice. Be careful of the inflicting of your autobiography. Well, listen, and I've used this example a lot. I'll use it again. It's like sitting there and you're seeing the train. You were on this train. You were this train. See the train and you glance down the road or down this little path and you go, ooh, there's a wall there. I remember hitting that wall on the train. I don't want you to hit the wall. So now you're trying to prevent that journey. But essentially, how did you become resilient? Yeah, there's some trauma there. Yeah, there's some trauma bonding there. Yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on in your mind. I hear you. But you can't prevent another person's experience, and you really shouldn't. And I know this is where the ego comes in, and it's not like you do it intentionally. I truly believe that most people, let me not say everybody, because some people do things to help people to make themselves feel better intentionally, but a lot of people do it unintentionally. To say, listen, this is my job to fix it. This is my job to come in on my little horse and draw my sword and save the day and fix things for you. Yeah, I mean, you also have to understand, remember, and you might forget this, but when you were younger, or when you were going through your own thing, you didn't believe everybody. They could literally be like, oh, I don't think that that's a good situation for you. And you're like, it's fine, I got this, till you didn't. But remember, you too had all the answers. This is where you have to not forget how you once were. Right? It's not a judgment. It's just how we all do. We all feel, especially before your brain is formed, before you understand self-love, before you understand all of those things, you have all the answers. You absolutely have all the answers. You know what it means. And this is why you can't get upset when somebody doesn't want your stuff. So you have to, this is where this is an ego check here. You have to remember you cannot inflict your experience on somebody who doesn't want it. So I do content and it's here if you want it. But if you're like, oh my God, that's too much, then you don't have to look at it, right? So again, it's the same thing in your home. Yes, there's got to be rules and things. People can't just go do whatever they feel. Obviously I get that, especially if you're dealing with a child. But in the same token, you also have to remember that it's not your job to live through them. And you see a lot of this, there's that old, it's a stereotype and it's silly, but you want your kid to be the quarterback because you were the quarterback and you're still living at 50, you're still living as the high school quarterback. You still have your Letterman's jacket and you just are so proud to wear that thing. And you're like, yeah, look at me. 35 years ago you were, and it's great and you were awesome. But what are you doing now? Don't live in this hierarchy and then project that on other people. So it's not just about fixing people. It's also about making them, quote unquote, a desire to make them go this path that you want them to go in, because you want to feel good about yourself and you want them to have a different experience. You can't do that. That is your ego. It really is. And trust me, I believe me. If you've listened to a podcast or you'll see in the second book, unfortunately, mental stuff runs in my family, which means all my kids have all had it. My kids struggle and they have to go through it themselves. Yes, I will provide resources, but I can't make you feel better. I can't make you do the work. I can't make you do the journals. I can only give you the resources. I'm not going to beat my head up against the wall because you're not doing the resources, because it's not my journey. So this is where you have to be confident in that. And again, yeah, it's bad. It can be really bad. It can be really hard on your mental health, but only if you let that, so you want to be careful of that. So when you catch yourself doing that, I want you to pause. I really do. When you catch yourself trying to fix. And again, if you want a longer podcast on this, let me know and I'll do a podcast on it, to go a little bit deeper with it. But you must realize that you don't hold the power. No human holds the power for long-term happiness for any human being. No one. Because how many times, think about this, it could be you, it could be somebody you know, and you seem as though they're never happy. Like you can never do enough to make them happy or satisfied. And this also could be you, so be clear with yourself. So this is where it's constantly like, okay, I did this, you asked for this, I did this, I changed this. Okay, cool, but now you need this done. Okay, now you want this. Okay, now you need this. And you can find this within yourself. Let's say you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to finish college. Okay, you finish college. You're like, okay, now I need to get a job. Okay, you get a job and you're like, well, I don't know that this is the best job for me. I need a better job. Okay, cool. It's cool to have those goals and that's great. But not if you're thinking that that's going to make you happy. To grow, we all need to grow. We all need to evolve. That's how we grow as human beings and we don't get sedentary. But if you're doing it thinking you're going to be happy, this is a problem. Because now, again, you're looking outside of yourself for happiness. So it's the same thing with fixing people. You can look and say, okay, if they would just do this. And then there's going to be something else that they're just not doing the way you'd want them done or the way you think it would benefit them. If they would just do this, their life would be easier. If they would just do that, they would be happier. How about taking that same energy and putting it in a mirror, looking at yourself and hitting yourself with that same thing? What improvements can you make? Because I promise you that if you're so focused on trying to fix other people, you are definitely neglecting the areas that you still need to work on with self. And it's important that you accept this, that you're honest with yourself, right? Think about how many times we distract ourselves to not deal with ourselves. We watch TV, we go shopping, we do these things, and we also fix people. We try to fix people. We distract ourselves. We try to hang out with friends. We try to do these things because you don't want to deal with yourself. So it's easier to say, I'm going to fix this person, but yet you're neglecting the areas that you need to work on. Because I promise you that if you were in full self-love and you were balanced, you would understand that concept. So don't judge yourself for it. It's a good indicator. It's a good little light that goes, you still have areas that you need to work on, which we all do. That's fine. But that's important for you. That's where you have to get yourself. That's where you have to accept that you are only ever in, I hate to use the word control, but in control of your own happiness, your own actions, your own reactions. That's all you got. And I know, trust me, I get it. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to take this square peg and I'm going to shove it into this round hole because I love the color of this square peg and I want this square peg. But I want this square peg the way I want it to perform. So a lot of that fixing and people pleasing, while you think that you are, and I truly believe internally, you really think that this is just coming from a place of care and love. And it absolutely is. But there's also an underlier there. If you could just prevent somebody from going through a situation you went through, that's unhealed trauma. Because the reality is you have survived 100% of your bad days. All of them. They haven't been easy. You haven't loved it, but you survived it. You have survived it. But you had to learn that. You had to learn the resilience. Yeah, I know you want to prevent other people's pain and all that stuff. They have to have their own journey. And I will repeat that several times in all of my content because I really want you to understand it. You don't have to like it. But when you feel that you need to control it and you feel super empathetic, and do not start with the whole, I'm an empath and I can't help it. You can, because I teach people how to bubble themselves, right? Because being an empath, yeah, you say you can't help it, but you're also choosing to not try to. And to be an empath, you can see it. And I get people ask me that all the time. How do you not take on your client's stuff? Because sometimes people come to me and they got really heavy stuff. It might be an entire family annihilation. Yeah, it can be really heavy. But because I know it's not my stuff to process, it's not my experience. I can be empathetic. I can help you. I can give you stuff. I can say, oh God, that was so heavy. And I can go drain my, all of that excess energy into the ground and do process. I mean, I'm not a robot, but I don't carry it with me because it's not my experience and it's not mine to carry. So when you get clear in that, that's lowering the ego. So next time you try to fix somebody and repair them, take a pause, don't judge yourself and go, I see what I'm doing here.